What is the book of Romans? The Apostle Paul wrote a bunch of different letters to a bunch of different churches in the years following Jesus' death and resurrection. Out of the 27 books in the New Testament, 13 of them are actually letters written by Paul, including this one. Romans, or Paul's letter to the Romans, was written roughly 23 years after Jesus' resurrection with the intention of detailing the depth of the gospel, what Jesus' sacrifice actually means, and how all of this impacts you as a believer. So what exactly is the gospel? The word gospel is translated from the Greek euangelion, meaning a good message, or more specifically, the good news. Paul spends most of the first 3 chapters of Romans laying out the details of the good news, or gospel, so let's get into it. In the first 15 verses, Paul introduces himself as the author, expresses his sincere affection toward his Roman audience, then uses verses 16 and 17 to pivot into his first main point. For I am not ashamed of the gospel, because it is the power of God for salvation to everyone who believes, to the Jew first, and also to the Greek. For in it the power of God is revealed from faith to faith, as it is written, the righteous man shall live by faith. You'll notice the word for keeps popping up at the beginning of Paul's sentences. This is another way of saying because. Paul's letters fit in a category we call prose discourse. Prose discourse is unique compared to other writing styles like history or poetry because it's usually trying to make a logical conclusion built on other logical points. For example, this first thing because of, or for, this second thing and therefore this third thing, setting up logical premises to guide you to a logical conclusion. You with me so far? Let's keep going. In verse 16, why would Paul say he isn't ashamed of the gospel? Paul was a traveling preacher, spreading the gospel everywhere he went. Many people hated that he was doing this, so he was mocked and beaten and thrown in prison. Usually, if people mock you, beat you, and imprison you for something, you might feel embarrassed or ashamed for that thing. But Paul knew the gospel is the truth, and even though I'm mocked, beaten, and thrown in prison for the truth, I am not ashamed of the truth. I am not ashamed of the gospel. He also wrote this other strange phrase, for the Jew first and also to the Greek. You will need to understand this biblical theme to understand the rest of Romans. Way back in the Old Testament, God chose a specific man named Abraham and made a covenant with him, his son Isaac, and Isaac's son Jacob, who was later renamed Israel. Israel's descendants became an entire nation that received God's law, promises, and blessings. The people of Israel were called Jews, and anyone who wasn't a Jew was called a Gentile. Now, the Roman believers that Paul is writing to here are Gentiles, and there's a very good chance that you, watching this video, are also a Gentile. Paul says Jew first and also the Greek to tell his Roman audience that this gospel is for everyone, not just Abraham's physical descendants. In the next 2 verses, Paul begins explaining the gospel. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who suppress the truth in unrighteousness, because that which is known about God is evident within them, because God made it evident to them. Paul makes an interesting claim here, that by doing evil actions, we suppress truth. How exactly can physical actions suppress non-physical, abstract truth? Keep reading. Since the creation of the world, his invisible attributes, his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly seen, being understood through what has been made, so they are without excuse. This principle echoes throughout history. Isaac Newton believed in God because he saw the vast, orderly universe as a proof of a masterful, intelligent creator. And Werner Heisenberg famously said, "The first gulp from the glass of natural science will turn you into an atheist, but at the bottom of the glass, God is waiting for you." Then Paul says, even though they knew God, they did not honor him as God or give thanks, but became futile in their speculations, and their foolish heart was darkened. This begins the first slope of a downward spiral. They knew God existed, but rejected him from their minds, causing their thoughts to become dark. And this is where we begin to see the depravity of the mind that rejects God. Professing to be wise, they became fools and exchanged the glory of the incorruptible God for an image in the form of corruptible humans and birds and animals. This is referring to idolatry. Throughout history, many cultures built idols and worshipped them as gods and considered themselves to be wiser or above others because of their thinking, but ultimately they were suppressing truth by rejecting the true God from their minds. Next, notice how God deals judgment in a very peculiar and kind of unexpected way. God gave them over in the lusts of their hearts to impurity so that their bodies would be dishonored among them. He judges evil by simply letting them have the evil that they want. He gave them over to their own desires. The downward spiral deepens further. They exchanged the truth of God for a lie and worshipped and served the creature rather than the Creator. This is how evil actions suppress truth. And God gives them the evil they want once again. For this reason, God gave them over to degrading passions, for their women exchanged the natural function for that which is unnatural, and the men also abandoned the natural function of the women and burned in their desire toward one another. This is controversial, but whether we like it or not, Paul here is talking about homosexuality. This is nothing more than another step into the downward spiral of a mind that has rejected its creator. And just as they didn't see fit to acknowledge God anymore, God gave them over to a depraved mind to do those things which are not proper. Notice the term just as at the beginning of this sentence. This was translated from the Greek kathos. Kathos implies proportion and degree, meaning to the degree that they rejected God from their minds, God proportionally gave them over to their own depraved thoughts. Then, Paul lists the things that accompany the depraved mind, the mind that has suppressed the truth, saying they are filled with unrighteousness, wickedness, greed, evil, envy, murder, strife, deceit, malice, gossip, slander, hatred of God, insolence, arrogance, boastfulness, inventors of evil, disobedient to parents, without understanding, untrustworthy, unloving, and unmerciful. And although they know the ordinance of God, that those who practice such things are worthy of death, they not only do them, but give hearty approval to those who practice them. We see these things and their hearty approval throughout our culture today. You are so right. Those people are wicked. I'm sure glad I'm not like them. Whoa, hold on. Don't get too confident just yet, because Paul actually has some choice words for you in the next chapter.